Welcome to Happy Aura, a calm space in a loud world. Slow down, breathe deep, and enjoy wisdom. There's an old saying that has been repeated in many forms, but it never loses its weight. What you hold in your mind and in your hands, your skills, your craft, your work, is something no one can take away from you. The jobs you've done, the mistakes you've made, the lessons you've learned, they form a kind of invisible portfolio, a personal treasury of value. Yet, in the rush of modern life, it's easy to look at your career and feel it's too small, too unglamorous, too ordinary to matter. We live in a time when attention is currency, and careers that don't produce spotlight moments are often dismissed. The quiet accountant, the night shift nurse, the mechanic in the small town garage. These lives can seem overshadowed by the flashy trajectories we see in media. But the truth is, the worth of your career isn't measured by applause. It's measured by its stability in storms, its ability to keep you standing when everything else changes. In an era where industries rise and fall at breathtaking speed, the idea of a humble career may seem old-fashioned. But in many ways, it is exactly what survives the churn. A baker may not be featured in Forbes, but bread will be bought tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. A teacher might never trend online, but knowledge will always need to be passed on. A humble career, one without glittering titles or stock options, is like a small but sturdy boat. You might not sail the oceans, but you can weather the waves. And that matters because the changing fortunes of time aren't poetic abstractions. They're the layoffs that sweep through corporate towers. They're the pandemics that shutter entire sectors. They're the technologies that make one skill obsolete overnight and create a market for another. When the tide turns, the person who has stayed engaged with their craft, who's cared enough to do it well, carries with them a lifeboat. Skills don't just vanish because the economy hiccups. Pride in your work doesn't dissolve because the market stumbles. It's not just the act of holding a job that makes it a possession. It's the interest you have in it, that quiet thread of curiosity and care that runs through your days. Without it, even the most prestigious position feels hollow. With it, even modest work can be deeply rewarding. When you're interested in your own career, you're constantly sharpening your abilities, even in small ways. You notice shifts in your field early and adapt. You find meaning in the process, not just the paycheck. Someone who sees their humble career as a living thing, something to cultivate, will tend to it the way a gardener tends to a plot of land. That's how small opportunities become larger ones. Think of the restaurant dishwasher who learns the timing of the kitchen, befriends the cooks, starts helping prep vegetables, then moves to the grill. 5 years later, they're running the place. The trajectory wasn't built on prestige. It was built on interest, on the decision to engage rather than merely endure. Money can be earned and spent, Positions can be given and taken away, but the knowledge, discipline, and self-respect that come from doing your work well, those stay with you. In the early 20th century, when factory closures threw thousands out of work, some workers were able to pivot because they'd been curious enough to learn more than what their specific station required. The man who learned basic bookkeeping from watching the foreman's assistant, the woman who could read technical drawings because she'd asked questions of the machine repairman. These were the people who could step into different roles. Your career, humble or not, becomes a possession when you invest yourself in it. Not just in the hours, but in the care you bring. That investment compounds. One of the greatest dangers to valuing your own career is the constant comparison to others. This has always been human nature, but in the age of social media, it's a relentless background hum. You see the highlight reels of other people's lives and careers, and wonder if you're behind. But comparison is a thief in disguise. It steals your attention from what you can build your own path and distracts you with what someone else has built on entirely different ground. If you're a carpenter, the relevant question is, am I as famous as that TV renovation star? Do I work with a level of skill and integrity that I'm proud of? Because when the economy shakes, when fortunes shift, the TV star's audience may vanish, but your ability to build a table that lasts will still be there. Keeping interested in your career doesn't mean refusing to evolve. The changing fortunes of time will sometimes demand that you alter the shape of your work. But interest, that underlying engagement, is what helps you carry the core of your career into new forms. The journalist who saw print news decline and learned to produce podcasts didn't abandon journalism, they translated it. The bookstore owner who learned to run online events during lockdown didn't stop being a bookseller. They adapted the format. Humility in career isn't about thinking small. It's about being grounded enough to pivot without losing your center. There's also a quieter, more personal reason a humble career is a real possession. It gives you a rhythm and a sense of place in the world. Even if the wider chaos feels overwhelming, having a role you know how to perform can be a stabilizing force. Psychologists have noted that meaningful work, regardless of income level, is a strong predictor of mental health. It provides structure, purpose, and a sense of contribution. This is why some people find more satisfaction in a modest but hands-on role than in a high-paying but disconnected one. The nurse's aide who knows each patient by name may go home with sore feet, but also with a sense of having been useful, needed, and real in someone's day. That's not small. That's wealth of a kind the stock market can't measure. History is full of these quiet careers that outlast the noise. The town blacksmith in a rural English village in the late 1800s, the blacksmith's work wasn't glamorous, but it was indispensable. When railroads arrived and reduced local trade, many businesses collapsed. The blacksmith survived by learning to repair rail equipment, keeping his craft relevant. His descendants still run a metal workshop today. The wartime seamstress in occupied France during World War II. One seamstress kept working despite shortages. She learned to repurpose old garments into new designs, which became a valuable skill in an era of rationing. After the war, she opened a small dress shop. She'd never worked for a fashion house, but her career, her possession, carried her through history's most volatile years. The bus driver poet in a modern city, a bus driver wrote short poems about his daily route. He never left his job, but his writing became a local favorite. When he retired, the city named his route after him. His career didn't make him famous, but it kept him connected to thousands of lives, and in turn, those lives honored him. Each of these stories carries the same truth. You never know when the humble will prove heroic, or when the quiet years will become the foundation for unexpected chapters. Of course, there will be days when your career feels stagnant, when interest wanes. That's natural. The key is not to let those days turn into years of disengagement. You can reignite interest in a few ways. Learn a new skill adjacent to your work. Even small additions can refresh your perspective. Mentor someone new. Teaching reminds you of the value in what you already know. Document your progress. Keep a journal or portfolio. Seeing how far you've come can reignite pride. Reconnect with the why. Remind yourself of the purpose your work serves, even indirectly. Interest is a living thing. It needs to be fed. Imagine yourself 20 years from now, looking back. Will you be glad you dismissed your current work as beneath you? Or will you wish you had invested in it, made it something you could carry proudly? Careers don't just happen to us. We shape them slowly, in the daily act of showing up. The humble career you respect and care for today may, in hindsight, be the foundation you're most grateful for. The changing fortunes of time will continue. Economies will rise and fall. Industries will transform. Public tastes will shift. But your skill, your dedication, your ability to care about your own work, that's a possession that endures. And so, the advice stands. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It might be the boat that carries you through the storm. It might be the quiet thread that holds your life together when the world comes apart. It is not small. It is not insignificant. It is yours.